Riding around Singapore, I learned that it's an island jam-packed with some of the nicest fixed gear builds that I've ever laid my eyes on. So I decided to give a few of Singapore's fixed gear shops a visit to see the source of all of these incredible builds that I was seeing out in the wild. And be sure to watch until the end, because the last stop on our tour is hands down the most fixie points that I've seen per square inch in my life. What's up? I'm Zach Gallardo. Life is short, but don't make it shorter. Be sure to ride your bike every day to be reasonably dangerous, and subscribe to watch more fixed gear videos just like this one. Thanks to Wabi Cycles for sponsoring the channel and making these videos possible. And if you're looking for top tier steel bikes that you can customize to be your dream bike right out of the box, stick around until the end of the video to learn more. Immediately after landing in Singapore, QX, the owner of Ascent Bikes, whisked me away to our first stop, Progression Bikes. Singapore is home to some of the most expensive real estate in the world, so proprietors have to get a bit creative when it comes to setting up shop, giving them a distinct character. Progression Bike shares a space with a cafe and a children's daycare, all the better for being a good influence on the little tykes and getting them on fixed gear bikes young. As you approach the shop, you're likely to spot a few guys practicing their tricks on BMXs and track bikes, along with a row of handsome fixed gears and an assortment of flavors. Blacked out Specialized Langster set up with road drops and a front Kuromori 4-spoke, track lacrosse crusher with Miike pistons and wound up fork, and a mash histogram with straight bars that'll give an albatross's wingspan a run for its money. Entering the shop's display corner, more deliciously built track bikes will greet you, complete with the most desirable carbon and Japanese components, sometimes even on the same bike, creating builds that harken back to the mid-2000s. Components fit for even the most discerning riders decorate the walls with chainrings from Alter in 3D, stems and seat posts from Thompson, Envy, and Chinelli, and bars that will make you question how wide is too wide. Take a closer look and you'll realize that all this bike candy isn't just for show, but these guys ride in a way where they sometimes turn their components into decorative conversation pieces. In the display case, you'll find a smattering of vintage and rare odds and ends to give your bike some unique flair. In the shop's cozy back room, you'll find even more bike goodies lining the shelves and walls. Bike nerd reading material, Sugino 75s, and Mac hubs perched above the obligatory shop couch. A neat row of wheels with offerings from HED, Campagnolo, Singapore's own Ascent, and the fan favorite H Plus Sun and Mavic. Throughout the shop, you'll spot pepperings of Chinellis and retired Spinergies that have seen one too many 180 bunny hops, and behind the front counter is where the magic happens, where dream builds become reality. As the shop's conversation pieces suggest, the Progression Bike guys mean business when it comes to freestyling. The Thai community at Progression Bikes is my favorite thing about it. It holds a charm to it where it feels like a hub where riders can hang out, talk shop, and upgrade their builds from an ever-evolving stock of new and used track components. It's like the good old days where people build, hone their skills, and appreciate the pure joy of fixed gear bikes. Following night after I checked out Progression Bikes, the guys over at Fishtail Cyclery invited me down to check out the shop, pick up a loaner bike, and go for a ride for some sushi. So, of course, I went. Fishtail Cyclery is tucked away on the 3rd floor of an office complex on a quiet street near Singapore's Chinatown. Although it can feel like a scavenger hunt finding the shop on your first visit, it quickly felt like home to me upon meeting the two super cool and friendly guys, Roy, the owner, and Kai, the mechanic, at the shop. Promise they look a lot friendlier when they're not working. And if modern aluminum bikes are up your alley, Fishtail will feel like home to you too, with a row of frames that are harder to come by compared to the US, from Constantine, Liberty, Centurio, Polo and Bike, and the local Grune lining the display window. On the floor you can find Kai's Constantine that he graciously let me borrow for my trip, complete with Thompson kit, Envy bars, 75s, and Mavic ellipses. By the way, Kai, if you ever want to sell me your 75s, you know how to contact me. Behind that, you'll find Roy's favorite bike, his Grune Integral 01, that the founders at Gruen gave him and custom painted race red for when he competed in the Red Hook Crit. Oh yeah, and that's a beautifully built Dasno behind it, but whatever. And you're likely to spot Kai's famous dazzling eye ride. You can check out the complete bike check by clicking the card above. It's a small shop that's selective about what they carry, with more Constantines, Gruens, and Pizzas hanging out and lining the back wall, along with trusty bars from Nitto and Data. In the display case, you'll find fixed gear essentials, Paul hubs, Rotor 3Ds, Azumi chains, and Nitto stems and seat posts. While Fishtail has an excellent selection, my favorite thing about it is that going there feels like just sitting down in a friend's living room. It's a shop that's about the people and the friends that run it. Speaking of which, the crew and the friends at Fishtail are all about good company, good food, and hearty rides. The following night, Kai, Fishtail's mechanic and guy who lends me a bike, invited me to check out the shop where he got his iRide, a shop that was sure to leave me jaw-dropped. He did warn me, however, that it would be hard to find, even with the address, and hard to find is an understatement. After about 45 minutes of wandering around an industrial complex that felt like a cross between a repeating Flintstones background and a Counter-Strike map, I finally turned a corner and was greeted by a bunch of hooligans doing fakies on NJS bikes in front of a recording studio. This is Kuromori Bike Co. If finding Fishtail was like a scavenger hunt, finding the Kuromori Bike Shop was like finding buried treasure. Walk through the owner's recording studio and into the unassuming back room, you'll find the Kuromori shop that's more akin to a cycling museum than a bike shop. Every single frame set in the space is vintage, rare, built by a master craftsman with the finest materials, and oftentimes all three. Entering the shop, you'll be met by a Konago Dream Pista in immaculate condition, a bit too casually suited with custom engraved Sugino 75s and Zen chainring and matching finish. Behind it, a restored aluminum Umezawa and Tomasini triple triangle low pro. Only about 6 of these were made. Sit atop a glass case oozing with custom refinished Japanese and Italian hubs, cranks, and chain rings. On the back wall, you'll find 2 completes, a Colnago and chromed out GT triple triangle fitted with Kuromori's expertly refinished Sugino drivetrain. Behind, you can take your pick from more museum pieces from DeRosa built Eddie Merckx frames and low pros from Raleigh, Colnago, and Pinarello. If that geometry is too aggressive for you, hanging above, you'll find more vintage Italian masterpieces from Cinelli, DeRosa, Pinarello, and lots of other names I'd rather not butcher. Or choose from ace Japanese builders from a splash of steel Gonwales, Panasonics, Yamaguchis, and 3 Renshos. If that wasn't enough to make you think you stepped into track bike dreamland, adding 2 more Colnago Dreams to your options ought to do the trick. Let your imagination run wild as you fit your beautifully refinished vintage track frame set with only the finest pieces in the display cases below. And if that isn't enough for you, you can choose custom anodized and engraved parts, custom Anno Black Dura Ace build kit, done. Nagasawa engraved MKS Nuevo Unos for your freshly painted Nagasawa, if your heart desires. Or maybe you fancy a matching stem and seat post for your favorite NJS builder. No problem. If Italian bikes are more your speed, you can opt to build a custom wheel set with vintage Campagnolo Sheriff Star hubs, attach your bars to restored and custom engraved 3T and Cinelli stems, and top your build off with vintage campy record cranks. If you can dream it, you can have it at Kuromori. This is the most extensive collection of rare and vintage track bikes I've seen, in the best conditions I've seen, and they're for sale, not just for drooling over, gushing with history and craftsmanship, honed over generations, passed down through respected tradition. The Kuromori Bike Shop is where track bike lovers could spend hours carefully examining and appreciating every single component and frame set as the works of art they are. Without a doubt, this is the most Fixie points per square foot that I've ever seen in my life. Question of the day: what in your opinion makes a bike shop great? Let me know in the comments so we can get a discussion going on. Speaking of great bike shops, shout out to Wabi Cycles for sponsoring the channel and making these videos possible. Wabi makes it easy for me to ride Wallace, my Wabi Special, as my only bike as I travel throughout Asia, since every one of Wabi's design choices are meticulously made to give the purest ride quality for the money. And Wabi executes those choices perfectly, handmade by master craftsmen in Taiwan and a friendly bike shop in Denver, Colorado that is eager to answer your questions and get you on a bike you'll love. Wabi's relentless attention to detail results in Wallace, my 58cm Wabi Special, weighing in at 17.5 pounds or 7.97 kilograms straight out of the box with no carbon components. That results in the best riding experience I've ever had with a snappy, lively ride quality that only top-tier steel can bring. If you're looking for a bike that could very well put an end to your search for the perfect bike, consider checking out Wabi Cycles linked at the top of the description, because it really is the closest thing that I've ridden to the perfect bike. If you disliked this video, be sure to let me know by giving it a thumbs down so I can improve in the future. But if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing so you can watch more fixed gear videos just like this one. And stop watching me right now if you haven't ridden your bike yet today, because life is short, but don't make it shorter. So ride your bike every day to be reasonably dangerous.